At 12:47 a.m., Arian stopped his car for a stranger, and that was the moment he stopped being alone. The road was empty in a way that felt unnatural, like it had been abandoned by time itself. Arian tightened his grip on the steering wheel as his car cut through the darkness of the highway, the engine humming softly beneath him. The headlights carved a narrow tunnel of light through the night, revealing cracked asphalt, faded lane markings, and the occasional road sign that flashed past too quickly to read. Beyond that thin beam, everything dissolved into blackness. It was past midnight, the kind of hour when even the air felt heavier, when the world seemed thinner somehow, weaker, as if the rules that govern reality during daylight loosened their grip. He had taken this route to save time. That was his first mistake. The main highway would have added another 40 minutes to his journey, but it was well-lit and busy, even at night. This shortcut, however, sliced straight through a dense forest and connected to the highway farther ahead. Arian had driven it once before, during the day. It hadn't seemed so bad then. Trees, yes. Isolation, sure. But nothing like this. Nothing like the suffocating silence that now pressed against his ears. The radio crackled suddenly, breaking the stillness. Music that had been playing a moment ago dissolved into static, the sound warping into a low, uneven hiss. Arian frowned and reached out, tapping the radio once. The static only grew louder. He tapped it again, harder this time. Then, beneath the hiss, something else emerged. A faint voice. Not singing, not speaking clearly, just murmuring, like someone whispering from another room. The words were indistinct, stretched and warped, rising and falling as if carried on a weak signal from somewhere far away. Arian's pulse quickened. He stared at the radio for a moment, then turned it off. Silence flooded the car. Too much silence. Even the engine seemed quieter now, the hum almost swallowed by the oppressive stillness outside. The forest on either side of the road loomed tall and dense, trees packed so closely together that no moonlight could penetrate the canopy. Their twisted branches reached upward and outward, clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers frozen mid-scream. There were no streetlights here, no houses, no distant glows of civilization. Just the road, the forest, and Arian's car pushing forward like an intruder. He reached for his phone and checked the GPS. No signal. The word sound on the screen, like a quiet threat. A flicker of unease stirred in his chest, but he forced himself to breathe slowly. It was fine. This area was known for poor reception. Just another 10 kilometers, he told himself. 10 kilometers, and he'd reach the main highway again. Light, people, noise. He focused his eyes on the road ahead. That's when he saw him. A figure stood on the side of the road, just beyond the reach of the headlights. Arian's foot eased off the accelerator without conscious thought. As the car slowed, the headlights washed over the figure fully, and his stomach tightened. It was a man. He stood unnaturally still, slightly hunched, his frame thin to the point of looking brittle. His clothes hung loosely from his body, torn and filthy, dark stains marking the fabric in places that made Arian's throat go dry. His head was bowed, chin almost touching his chest, messy hair falling forward to hide his face completely. He looked injured, lost. Arian's instinct screamed at him to keep driving. Every nerve in his body urged him forward, away from the figure, away from the forest, away from whatever this was. His heart began to pound, and his hands felt slick against the steering wheel. But guilt pressed harder. What if the man had been in an accident? What if he was bleeding, stranded out here with no signal, no help? Arian imagined how it would feel to be alone on this road, injured and invisible, watching car after car pass without stopping. He slowed the car to a crawl and rolled the window down just a few inches. Cold air rushed in, carrying with it the smell of damp earth and decaying leaves. "Hey!" Arian called, his voice sounding thin and uncertain. "Are you okay?" The man didn't move. "I can call for help," Arian added, even though he already knew there was no signal. "You look hurt." Slowly, painfully slowly, the man lifted his head. Arian's breath caught in his throat. The face was wrong. The skin was stretched too tightly over sharp, angular bones, pulled thin like it didn't quite belong there. Dark stains smeared across his cheeks and jaw, streaks that might have been dry blood or something far worse. His eyes reflected the headlights faintly, glowing with a dull red sheen that reminded Arian of an animal caught in the beam of a flashlight. Then the man smiled. His mouth split wider than it should have, revealing jagged, broken teeth. Too many of them, crowded together in a way that made Arian's stomach churn. Fear exploded through him. Arian slammed his foot down on the accelerator. The car lunged forward, tires screeching as it shot down the road. His heart hammered violently against his ribs, each beat loud enough to drown out his thoughts. He didn't look back. He couldn't. It had to be exhaustion, he told himself. A trick of the light. His imagination feeding on darkness and old stories he barely remembered. He forced himself to keep his eyes on the road, on the comforting blur of asphalt rushing beneath him. Then he heard it, a soft tapping sound. Tap, tap, tap. It was slow, deliberate, and it was coming from inside the car, from behind him. Arian's hands tightened on the wheel as cold dread crawled up his spine. His eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. The man was sitting in the back seat. Arian screamed. The sound tore from his throat as he jerked the wheel violently, the car swerving across the lane. He barely managed to regain control before spinning off the road. In the mirror, the figure leaned forward, its face filling the glass, inches from Arian's own reflection. The smell hit him next. Rotting flesh, damp soil, something ancient and spoiled, like a grave that had been disturbed after years of being sealed. "You stopped," the thing whispered. Its voice was layered, overlapping, as if several mouths spoke at once from the same throat. "That means you invited me." "Get out," Arian sobbed, his vision blurring with tears. "Get out of my car." The creature chuckled, the sound wet and gurgling. "This road belongs to me." The headlights flickered violently, plunging the road ahead into brief moments of darkness. The forest seemed to move, the trees bending inward, closing the road like a tunnel of living wood. Arian pressed the accelerator harder, the speedometer climbing higher than he dared look at for long. "You can't outrun Chakwa," the creature said calmly. "I walk with travelers. I feed on kindness." The name struck something deep in Arian's memory. Chakwa, Chalawa, stories whispered during childhood sleepovers. A spirit that haunted lonely roads at night, appearing wounded, helpless, waiting for someone kind or foolish enough to stop. Once invited, it never left. "What do you want?" Arian whispered, his voice barely audible. "To reach home," Chakwa replied, its grin widening unnaturally. "But my home is you." Cold fingers wrapped around Arian's shoulders. The road ahead vanished. The headlights went out. The car came to a dead stop. Silence. Arian blinked rapidly, gasping for air. He was still in the driver's seat, but everything else was gone. The forest, the road, the night. He stepped out of the car and found himself standing before a village frozen in decay. Burned houses leaned at odd angles, their walls blackened and cracked. Ash covered the ground like snow. Bodies lay scattered everywhere, twisted and lifeless, their faces locked in expressions of terror. The air was thick with smoke and grief. "This was my village," Chakwa said softly, standing beside him now. "Whole, tall, terrifying. They left me to die on that road." Arian fell to his knees. "I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't feed the dead." The ground beneath him began to sink. Shadows rose, whispering voices clawing into his mind, pulling at his memories, his regrets, his guilt. Chakwa's eyes burned brighter. "You carry darkness, too," it hissed. "That's why I chose you." "Please," Arian begged, "let me go." "One chance," the spirit said. The world snapped back. Arian was driving again. The road, the forest, the silence. The back seat was empty. He didn't stop driving until sunrise. He never took that road again. But sometimes, late at night, when his car slows down for no reason. He hears tapping behind him. Tap, 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 and a whisper. You stop once. I never left.